Oh, it's not tonight, not tonight. Down. Oh, it's not tonight. I told you. I told you. Have you not helpful? I think he knows quite well. He couldn't do that to me.
Is on par with early championship run, or even better maybe, than John Jones, or Conor McGregor, or Khabib, or...
I really cannot find the words to explain what we are seeing from Ilia Topuria. His ability to control guys, knock guys out, tell us what he's going to do to knock guys out, and then go out there and deliver is second to none.
He came in with that 2-3.
Separating himself from everybody. Just unbelievable. And you got to tip your hat to him. He's created a team all about him. And by creating that team all about him, he's developed at a rate that most don't. So hats off to Ilia Topuria for a phenomenal performance.
He's clearly set himself apart from everyone else. It's unbelievable. You have to tip your hat to him. He's built a team entirely centered around himself, and because of that, he's progressed at a pace most fighters can't match. So hats off to Ilia Topuria for a phenomenal performance.
This run that you're on, can you put this into perspective, what you've done?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's difficult to explain with a simple word. Like beat guys like Walt, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira. Not many people in the world can say that.
Ilia Topuria has stunned the entire MMA world with his incredible performance against a legend like Charles Oliveira. Knocking out one of the greatest lightweights in the first round of his divisional debut is no small feat. Topuria himself acknowledged the magnitude of his achievement, saying the journey feels amazing. He shared that it's hard to put into words what it means to defeat fighters like Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira, emphasizing that very few people in the world can claim to have done so, a true testament to how rare and special his accomplishment is.
And mental level, they feel invincible.
No, a ver, invencible no me siento, obviamente, por eso pongo muchísimo esfuerzo, porque no soy precisamente invencible, ¿sabes? Como soy que soy vencible, por eso me entreno y me esfuerzo todos los días muchísimo, y al final de todo, cuando pongo muchísimo trabajo, sé que he hecho todo lo que estaba en mis manos y que ya la victoria es mía, es lo que yo siempre digo, ¿no? De que yo la victoria ya lo celebro cuando el campamento se acaba. Cuando yo ya doy el peso es como, ya soy ganador. Después dentro del octógono puede pasar cualquier cosa, pero nunca me quedaré con la duda de podía haber hecho más. Eso no vive dentro de mí, no pudiera vivir con eso. Y como esa sensación no está dentro de mí...
Ilia Topuria explained that he doesn't feel invincible at all, and that's exactly why he trains and pushes himself so hard every day, because he knows he's beatable. For him, the real victory lies in the preparation once he makes weight. He believes anything can happen inside the octagon. But what he never wants is to walk in with the feeling that he could have done more. That kind of doubt, he says, is something he couldn't live with. By always giving everything he has, Ilia feels like a winner before the fight even begins.
It's impressive, man. The kid's very impressive. He's only 28 years old. He's only had 9 UFC fights, and he's already a double champion.
Ilia Topuria explained that he doesn't feel invincible at all, and that's exactly why he trains and pushes himself so hard every day, because he knows he's beatable. For him, the real victory lies in the preparation once he makes weight. He believes anything can happen inside the octagon. But what he never wants is to walk in with the feeling that he could have done more. That kind of doubt, he says, is something he couldn't live with. By always giving everything he has, Ilia feels like a winner before the fight even begins.
We sat at the table thinking to ourselves, I don't know if it's good that Topuria is out celebrating a victory that has not happened yet. But this young man has so much confidence in not only himself, but his preparation and his team and his ability that when he sees these things, he's not just spewing garbage. He believes that he is going to do it. And he almost speaks it into existence. Tonight he spoke into existence a knockout over Charles Oliveira. Fight starts. He hits Charles with a right hand, cuts him very early in a bad spot. Charles takes him down along the octagon side. Ilia gets back up, goes right back to work. Charles tried multiple times to take him down, and he defended beautifully.
This kid's impressive, seriously impressive. At just 28 years old and with only 9 UFC fights, Ilia Topuria has already become a double champion. Daniel Cormier couldn't help but admire Topuria's confidence, noting that it's not just talk. Ilia truly believes in his preparation, his team, and his skills. Before the fight, Topuria boldly predicted a knockout over Charles Oliveira, and he delivered. Cormier broke it down. Ilia landed a big right hand early, got taken down, but quickly got back to his feet and defended every takedown flawlessly, ultimately finishing the fight exactly as he said he would.
Now generating more power than he even did before and knocking guys out. You thought Charles might present problems on the ground. Nope. You thought Charles would present some problems on the feet. But Charles is known to go into the fire. You cannot go into the fire with this guy. And I think what was most impressive was the right hand actually ended the fight to Charles Oliveira. But because Topuria is so good at throwing in combination, that he threw the left hook right after it, and the left hook landed too and just knocked Charles out even more. He didn't really need to land the follow-up shots, but he did, because you are to fight until the referee.
We were honestly sitting at the table thinking, asterisk, is it really a good idea for him to be out celebrating a victory that hasn't even happened yet? But this young man has so much confidence, not just in himself, but in his preparation, the team, and his ability, that when he says these things, it's not just empty talk. He genuinely believes he's going to do it, almost speaking it into existence. And tonight, he did exactly that by manifesting a knockout over Charles Oliveira. As the fight began, Ilia landed a sharp right hand, cutting Charles early in a bad spot. Oliveira managed to take him down along the side of the octagon, but Ilia got back to his feet quickly and went straight back to work. Charles attempted multiple takedowns, but Ilia defended each one beautifully.
He came in with that 2-3. Like I said before, Charles Oliveira gets hurt every single time he fights. Every time he fights. Every time he fights. Every time. Watch, he walks straight in with his head up and he goes 2-3. Watch this. 2-3.
Former UFC champion Demetrious Johnson also weighed in on Ilia Topuria's victory, praising how clean and sharp Topuria's striking looked throughout the fight. Johnson pointed out that Charles Oliveira often gets caught due to his aggressive style and tendency to move forward with his head up, a flaw that Topuria exploited perfectly. He landed a precise combination that ended the fight quickly and decisively. Johnson seemed genuinely impressed by how effortlessly Topuria finished Oliveira, and even hinted that, given the amount of damage Charles has taken over his career, it might be time for him to consider stepping away from the sport.
Was that a 2-3-2? Islam versus Topuria needs to happen. He's up there with John Jones. Knocked out Bolt, knocked out Max, knocked out Charles. Islam next at one. Holy. Who would even fight Ilia at 155 now? Holy. Thank God he didn't accept my call out.
He probably went down from the first right hand.
Sean O'Malley reacted to Ilia Topuria's win over Charles Oliveira and admitted he regretted calling out Topuria last year. He was stunned by how easily Ilia knocked out Charles at UFC 317, calling the performance nothing short of shocking. Sean highlighted that Topuria has now knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira, and said Islam Makhachev should be next. He even joked that he's grateful Topuria didn't accept his call-out back then, because, looking at that devastating right hand, he probably would have been finished in the first round.
Lost it. Back and forward action, but he was just too powerful, man. He's got that low centre of gravity. Once he starts unloading, that's it. Unstoppable.
How holy was that UFC 232? Unreal. Islam versus Topuria has to happen now. Ilias on another level. He's up there with the likes of John Jones. He's knocked out Volk, knocked out Max, and now knocked out Charles. Imagine him facing Islam at 170, just holy. Who would even dare step in with Ilia at 155 anymore? Thank God he didn't accept my call-out. I probably would have gone down from the very first right hand.
When at light heavyweight, John Jones was on the come-up and beating everyone. It was like that. Now, this doesn't have the same fanfare of Conor McGregor and the stakes and the size and the spectacle, and it doesn't have that. I'm not saying it's the same. But if you're wondering what it was like, if you maybe missed McGregor in the 2010s when he was coming up and making these insane proclamations and then just delivering on them.
Heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall also shared his thoughts on the fight, calling it a great back-and-forth battle while it lasted. He explained that Ilia Topuria is simply too powerful and hard to deal with once he gets going. Tom pointed out, that Ilia's low center of gravity gives him incredible balance and explosiveness, and once he starts unleashing his strikes, he becomes nearly
one of the
unstoppable.
most special fighters I've ever seen. Now, I'm not putting him at, top just yet. But this he's doing, this is what the greats did on their way up. Some, less evenly in different ways. But it's like this. What he's doing is on par with early championship run, or even better maybe, than Jon Jones, or Conor McGregor, or Khabib, or you name it. That's what he is. That's what he represents. That's what he's doing. I need everyone to understand the historical significance of what this guy is and who he is.
Meanwhile, Luke Thomas shared his thoughts on Ilia Topuria's dominant performances, comparing his rapid rise to some of the sport's biggest names. He explained that watching Ilia now feels reminiscent of Jon Jones' early run at light heavyweight, where he consistently dismantled top competition, while Luke noted that Ilia's ascent doesn't carry the same fanfare, stakes, or spectacle as Conor McGregor's meteoric rise in the late 2000s and 2010s. He emphasized that it carries a similar kind of energy. Just like McGregor back then, Ilia makes bold proclamations and then goes out and delivers.
Problems, because Armin's not going to stand with him. Armin's going to make it a grappling war. So it's going to be a war of nutrition. Can Ilia survive the continuous ground attack that the Armin's going to put on him? And that would be the test. Can he do that? I don't know. Maybe he can. I mean, look what he did to Charles. Charles came in for the takedown. He freaking switched it on him midair. That was very impressive, man.
Luke Thomas described Ilia Topuria as one of the most special fighters he's ever seen, while he's not quite ready to rank Ilia among the all-time greats. Luke emphasized that Topuria is doing exactly what legendary fighters did during their early rises. In fact, he suggested that Ilia's ascent might even surpass the early championship runs of icons like Jon Jones, Conor McGregor, or Khabib Nurmagomedov. Luke urged fans to recognize the historical significance of what Ilia is achieved, to understand who he truly is.
Justin Gaethje. Give it to Armin Sarukian. Give it to Armin Sarukian.
Who?
Give it to Omar Sarukian.
This guy?
No, not Patty. That's the right. It needs to be him. Armin Sarukian. I don't know. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, guys. This is why I say it's a reality TV show. It's like, obviously, Armin Sarukian is the #1 contender. He's ranked #1, whatever you guys want to, go by the rankings. But they're forcing this fight with Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria just because it's probably going to sell more. But I think the rightful person who should be getting the next title shot.
Javier Mendez believes Armin Sarukian is the only fighter who can truly challenge Ilia Topuria at lightweight. He argues that Armin would present the biggest problems for Ilia because he wouldn't simply stand and strike instead. He would turn the fight into a grappling war. Mendez questions whether Ilia could withstand Armin's relentless ground pressure, suggesting that would be the real test of his skills. He also highlighted how Ilia effortlessly countered Charles Oliveira's takedown attempt, switching at midair, which demonstrated just how dangerous and well-rounded Ilia is.
Now, technically, it should be Armin Sarukian because he is truly the #1 contender. But they basically changes before outside of the octagon. But this is where I had this hot take recently this week, is that I said the UFC is not a sport. Like, they get to dictate what they want to push, the narrative of what the fans want to see, which that's not what a sport is dictated on. And it's funny because my dad and my wife, Destiny, were watching the fights. Like, what the f***? It's like WWE all over again.
Demetrious Johnson also believes Armin Sarukian deserves the next title shot. He strongly criticized the UFC for not giving Armin that opportunity, calling it a clear example of why he refers to the promotion as a reality TV show. In Johnson's view, Armin is the true #1 contender and has earned his shot, but instead, the UFC is prioritizing a fight between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria simply because it would generate more money and attention.
He weighed in as a backup fighter. He weighed in successfully at 155 pounds. So with that being said, is it safe to say that he will now fight for the title next?
Oh, it's a good step in the right direction. Let's put it that way.
Demetrious Johnson believes Armin Sarukian should be next for Ilia Topuria, calling him the true #1 contender. However, he thinks the UFC is pushing for a fight with Paddy Pimblett, instead driven more by their personal rivalry than merit. Johnson argued this is yet another example of how the UFC prioritizes entertainment and marketability over competitive legitimacy, comparing the promotion's approach to that of WWE.
Right now. Yeah, it's interesting because, he did exactly what he said he's going to do. He is an absolute complete fighter. You know, stand up is beautiful, ground, grappling, everything. Yeah, this kid's a
However,
star.
Dana White made it clear that Arman Sarukian will not be getting the next title shot. He explained that although Arman successfully weighed in as the backup fighter at 155 pounds, it was merely a positive step forward, not enough to guarantee an immediate title opportunity. So guys, subscribe to my channel for more new updates. Thank you.